Alright, you'll probably all find this a little bit odd, but I'm going to do an experience report on caffeine. And while I'm at it, I think I'm going to start doing experience reports on basically just about every damn chemical I've ever taken. Not like to the extent of paracetamol. Anyways, I can talk about lower doses and higher doses. I don't know what a moderate dose is, and I've probably never taken a moderate dose of caffeine, so I can only really do low and high doses. There are a few things to note here. I've taken caffeine in both, obviously, tea and coffee and natural sources, but also anhydrous form. Also, yeah, because I bought a kilo of anhydrous caffeine quite a while ago, and it's pretty fucking cheap. I've also had the tablets, but I bought the anhydrous because a kilo of anhydrous caffeine works out to be much cheaper than a gram's worth of caffeine when you're buying caffeine tablets. It's about 40 times cheaper per gram. Maybe even cheaper than that, to be fair. Anyways, I might as well get on with it. So, at lower doses of caffeine intoxication, I find myself very slightly stimulated. Not really feeling good as such. Feeling energized, feeling anxious, kind of definitely feeling energy. There's definitely like a want to do stuff. There's definitely like an anticipation of some kind when I take a little bit of caffeine. I think a little bit of caffeine improves my working memory a little bit. It seems to improve my functionality in the day. As I say, it definitely gives me energy. It makes me feel warm physically. It doesn't make me pee too much more. And yeah, that's about it. I find with lower doses, you can take 100, 200, maybe even 300 milligrams a day without starting to go crazy with the caffeine intoxication. I find, a cup of coffee in the morning, a cup of coffee at 4 o'clock, and then a cup of coffee at, say, 8 o'clock will keep you on a light level. Or, a caffeine pill in the morning and, 4 o'clock and then 8 o'clock, etc., etc. I find that even at this low level, it does disturb sleep slightly. It makes it just a little harder to go to sleep at night, but it's nothing major, I find. Now, at higher doses, this can range from, say, depending on your tolerance, 5/700 milligrams. I'd say 700 milligrams is higher doses throughout a day. 500 milligrams is a high dose to take at one time. But I'll talk about higher doses and then real fucking high doses. So I find if I ingest, say, 5 to 700 milligrams a day, I start getting a fairly significant energy rush, fairly large amount of adrenaline, fairly large amount of, not large, like a moderate amount of anxiety. Can feel my heart going, can feel like a want and a need to move. Definitely feel stimulation, definitely feel a craving for socialization, for movement, for speed, to do things. But I also feel slightly anxious, slightly apprehensive about things at the same time. I find that caffeine at higher doses starts to make me feel very warm and very strange. It makes me feel not just energetic but slightly psychotic, like just a bit overloaded at higher doses. Or maybe we should call this a moderate dose. Yeah, it makes me feel slightly away from it. Too many thoughts going on, too much to concentrate on, just a little bit. But it gives me enough of a rush that I'm okay with the lower level of higher doses. Now let's talk about the extreme doses. So let's say when you're taking 3 grams a day because you're having anhydrous form and you just like to take 600 milligrams at a time and you're taking 3 to 5 grams a day. This is where you start losing your shit. So when you just drop 600 milligrams or more at once, I mean, maybe it's dependent on tolerance, but I've never had a tolerance so high that 600 milligrams hasn't had an insane effect on me. I find at this kind of dose,
I'm extremely scattered. I can't focus on anything. I cannot understand anything. Everything's going crazy. I've got all this insane energy, all this insane want to do stuff. So much anxiety, so much need, so much desire to do stuff, but like an anxiousness to do it, like a worry about doing it. So much physical energy, like I'm just running around like an idiot. Unable to fall asleep. You know, like when you're taking 3 to 5 grams a day, you'll sleep a couple of hours. That's it. Like you'll sleep a couple of hours. You'll wake up feeling real rough, and you just take the caffeine straight away. And yeah, it makes you feel extremely rushed, extremely euphoric. You feel very much like you're on the edge of stuff. Like every experience is your last experience. Like you're taking in a lot more in terms of the intensity of experience. Everything feels tense. In some ways it's bad because you've got a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, your heart's going crazy, you're sweating your eyeballs out, your eyes are going weird, you haven't fucking slept properly, you start twitching quite a lot, going twitching a lot. And yeah, like, you know, it kind of cracks you out, like, because of the levels of anxiety and the level of feeling, all the heat that you feel and the sweating. But on the other hand, you know, it's good. It's so intense that, like, all the good feelings are really enhanced. Like, say when someone kisses you or cuddles you, like, because of the amount of stimulation that you get from it, it's just so intense. It's just so beautiful. I remember, like, birds and bees coming past me, and it just felt so fucking amazing when that kind of thing happened. So to me, caffeine's like a double-edged sword. The whole experience is like a double-edged sword to me. The stimulation from it is a double-edged sword because it feels wonderful and it also is extremely terrifying at the same time. And yeah, like, it's really, really fucking odd one. You feel really warm all the time, you feel full of energy, but you also feel upset and dead and anxious at the same time. It's a very strange one. So that's all the different dosage levels. Now, I'll talk about something else. I'll talk about the withdrawal. So the withdrawal to me is a double-edged sword. To me it has positive and negative effects. So I remember getting withdrawals from caffeine when I was in Australia, taking quite a lot, probably about a gram a day's worth of caffeine, and I was eating a lot of sugar at the time. And I remember when I was withdrawing, it would be 30, 33 degrees outside, and I would feel cold. Now, I don't know if this is normal or if other people experience this with caffeine withdrawals, but I felt cold, like really cold. And I knew I wasn't cold, I knew I was warm, I was still sweating and feeling odd, but I felt cold. I remember really intense headaches, upsetting headaches, being really fucking pissed off, being really knocked, really upset and tired. And it was horrible for the most, like, while you're awake. But get this, like, at some points of the caffeine withdrawal, the extreme tiredness was so overwhelmingly beautiful, like, because you're so tired and you're kind of tripping and things don't make sense. Some experiences are really serene, really surreal, really beautiful in a way. It feels like light is intensified, like everything is kind of holy at some points because you're so, like, your body's so depressed, so backwards because it was so used to all the stimulation before. One thing I really, really enjoy about caffeine withdrawal is sleeping. The dreams are amazing. The sleep from caffeine withdrawal is amazing. The dreams are so intense and so beautiful. Like, if you're on a caffeine withdrawal and you've got 3 or 4 days to withdraw on caffeine, for me, like, the sleep is amazing, the dreams are amazing, and if you've got 3 or 4 days and you can feed yourself and eat well, and the weather's nice, it's beautiful. It's so serene and so beautiful. It just feels, yeah, it just feels like you're in a dream. So yeah, it's a strange one. So my personal recommendations for caffeine would be, it's hard to judge for me personally. I'd like to do it again. I actually avoid caffeine because I honestly find it more addictive than basically any other drug I've ever tried, including cocaine and Yeah, cocaine and cigarettes and alcohol, benzos even. And I've only had a few benzos, but yeah, I find that to be the most addictive and one of the most powerful substances. Yet everyone uses it every day without really paying any concern to it. I find, as I say, it's a double-edged sword. Like it's good and it's bad. At lower doses, it's basically fine as long as you keep it to lower doses and stop yourself from going up and up and up and up on the dosage level. And at higher doses, it's far from fine, but it's so intense and amazing that it's hard. Like, it's a good and a bad thing for me. So I would suggest, say, if I wanted to get on it properly, I would just buy the caffeine anhydrous because it's so much cheaper if you want to consume a hell of a lot of caffeine. It's much cheaper to buy anhydrous than it is to buy coffee beans or to buy coffees or to buy energy drinks or anything like that. Caffeine anhydrous, without any doubts, is the cheapest way of getting yourself a caffeine fix. It's not the fastest way, but it's the cheapest way. And you can buy a kilo for fuck all. That's, no matter what your intake is, that's basically 200 days worth of supply, pretty much. If you have more than 5 grams a day, you've got some serious problems coming to you. Yeah, it's hard for me to judge. I mean, I feel like it would be a nice thing to do from time to time a little bit, but keep very well moderated. And that maybe once every now and then it would be nice to have an extreme dose. Sometimes feel like it would be nice to have a lot for a few days and experience the fun of the come down, the sleepiness of the come down. For me personally though, I think caffeine's something I have to be careful with, just because it's so addictive, so readily available, and people just don't understand or realise that it's actually a fucking drug, like... And because it's so available and not really thought of, it's quite easy to just get loads of. I mean, you can buy caffeine pills from anywhere, buy coffees anywhere. There's no age limit to this, so yeah, it was something I used when I was a lot younger. Used to buy energy drinks, used to buy coffees and teas, and just have other people's coffees and iced teas. It's the kind of thing that really bypasses everyone as a drug. You don't think of it as a drug, but honestly, it is a drug. And yeah, it's strange because I've offered people caffeine anhydrous and they've been like, "Oh, I don't do drugs." Yeah, if I gave them a cup of tea, the same equivalent dose, they wouldn't blink. But yeah, I think for me, I should be careful with caffeine. I should enjoy it if I can. And I don't know, I feel like if I want a warm day and a strange day, to take some caffeine. Possibly in the future might take caffeine with benzos before I go to bed to see what effect it has on my sleep. Maybe even caffeine, benzos and a nicotine patch mix would go well. Not sure yet, haven't tried that. Anyways, this is my experience report on caffeine. Hope you enjoyed it.